to PulseChain. Let them know that PulseChain can be very lucrative. Liquid loans is going to help eliminate sell pressure and amplify the buy pressure. And there's strategies within liquid loans to, do this in a very, strategic way and maximize your potential gains, and while minimizing your the downside. And one of the first tokens to take advantage of the strategy is UpToken. So I'm not affiliated with them. I'm not the founder. I'm not on the team, but I'm just a really big fan. And RHMax has given me the privilege to come on the show and just inform people of this new and exciting token. So it's, what I can say is the person behind it is Haunted. Now, you've seen Haunted in many streams. He's been on Magic Carpet Ride streams. He's been on Liquid Loans streams. He's been on other streams. And he's a Hexican who's essentially, really wrapped his mind around the capabilities of Liquid Loans and came to the realization that he could create this pool of participants, similar to how Maxi has a pool of Hexicans that maximize the efficiency of staking within this pool. Here you can participate in a pool dedicated to the USDL strategy for liquid loans. Now, you'd have to go down the rabbit hole and learn more about this. The best place to start, in my opinion, is uptoken.pro. Full discretion, I'm the creator of it. Again, this website is not affiliated with the founders, with the team. Again,
you're creator of the website, not the token, right?
Yeah, again, so everything on the website is something I've aggregated. So I've aggregated the links that'll help you go down the rabbit hole. I've put together FAQs that have been written in my own words. So it's partly it's my opinion piece. So don't take this as gospel of what UpToken is. To get the raw information, the group chat, which is linked on UpToken, and the pinned messages will teach you everything you need to know. But essentially, it's a token that's currently in the sacrifice phase. And similar to how we talked about how each sacrifice has innovated on the last, in my opinion, UpToken has come up with the most fair distribution for their sacrifice. And we're currently about a quarter of the way through. There's still just over 30 days left for the sacrifice. And by sacrificing your stable coins, they only accept stables on different networks. You could be part of the pool of participants with the funds utilized by a benevolent OA, which every token has an OA, to deploy the USDL liquid loan strategy, and then use part of the yield to buy and burn the token. So for anyone who loves scarcity, for anyone who's chasing these meme tokens, which pitch the feature of scarcity, well, I got something better for you. I got deflationary, and that's exactly what UpToken is. So in addition to it having a fixed supply of 21 million tokens, it's going to have a massive buy and burn function. And right now we're at the stage of the sacrifice where the greater the funds raised, the more significant the buy and burn will be. So something that's really impressed me is within the first 20 minutes of launch, it raised like $240,000. So, it's amazing how, this small collective of people have come together and right out of the get-go raised a whole bunch of money. And the sacrifice is still open for anyone to participate. Any questions so far?
Not in the chat yet. I just wanted to ask too. So if you could just in like one or two sentences, I mean, it sounds like the token is using the Honda strategy. There's a buy and burn, and then you mentioned liquid loans and PulseChain. Can you just like simplify like what if by sacrificing in this, what I know no expectations, but like the idea behind what the token is going to be used for or do?
Yeah, the idea of the token is it's supposed to be a token that's supposed to be tied to the price performance of PulseChain, but made sweeter with its own buy and burn. So it could be useful for any market participants that have missed out on the PulseChain launch and they want to get exposure to the price performance of PulseChain. Essentially, similar to how Maxi and Hedron are derivatives of Hex. I think UpToken is a you know is a derivative of PulseChain in that it gives your portfolio exposure to the gains of PulseChain, but again made sweeter with a buy and burn. So rather than you deploying one of the strategies yourself on liquid loans and utilizing your own PulseChain tokens or the PulseChain tokens you're going to buy when it launches, um, the yield made from doing it yourself would be it does get exponential with more multiples on PulseChain, but it's still a relatively small margin. That's a spread between like the ROI of PulseChain versus utilizing one of the strategies to capitalize on the price performance of PulseChain. Rather than you doing it yourself, by having UpToken and being in this pool, there is, again, no expectations, but the system is set up for exponential gains. You have limited supply and then deflationary. That's relative to the price performance of PulseChain.
Yeah, I think it's very unique in that way. That it sounds like it's kind of like pulling the tokens to execute a strategy, and then the buy and burn and tied to PulseChain price performance. Which, if you think PulseChain is going to do well, it sounds like that could be a bet to make.
Exactly. So anyone who's looking for exposure, again, not financial advice, but if you do your own research on UpToken, it could be an opportunity to get that kind of exposure, as well as potentially have PulseChain gains on steroids as it's amplified with the buy and burn of the token. There's really two parts to the sacrifice. The token itself is without admin keys, it's immutable. There won't be any staking. It's just a simple buy and hold and trade token. But there is a benevolent OA that the funds are going to. Again, no expectations, but an OA who favors the UpToken and is looking to buy and burn that token, based on its own yield, utilizing not the Haunted strategy but the USDL strategy. So let me talk a little bit about these strategies.
Sure.
So just so people don't think this is like a leverage trading where leveraging liquid loans, you can lever up and take on massive risk to try to chase the pump. The strategies have evolved to also minimize the risks. And the USDL strategy, you can look it up in the UpToken group chat. You can look it up on liquid loans. You can do it yourself again. This is all decentralized, so there's, again, no middleman. You can do it yourself if you wanted to. But the USDL strategy, the beauty of it is that it minimizes your risk with half of the funds being deployed to a stability pool reserve. And in the case of any dips, which people are speculating will be, it's unlikely to dip if there's a lot of market participants leveraging their PulseChain within liquid loans to buy it up. And buy the dip. But in case of any dips, the reserve that's built into the USDL strategy is there to scale with the dips. And essentially, UpToken could accommodate a 99.9% dip in PulseChain, which is mind-blowing. Again,
yeah.
On the uptoken.pro website, it describes exactly how the reserves are used to scale down and accommodate the vaults and remain liquid. But it's a really interesting strategy. And again, besides just the resource of us talking about it and the website, Haunted is someone who's gone on streams to describe his strategy. And besides that, you can also inquire into it in the group chat to learn more about it.
Yeah. Got one question from MJ Money. How is the price tied to Pulse?
Well, it's it's believed that this OA participant would acquire Pulse since day one, and then utilize the pulse to create volts, and then essentially buy and burn the token with the yield, in turn increasing the value of the up token. Its liquidity will also be binded, I think, largely through PulseChain, and just the buy and burn function will be what do you call it, based on the price. Like if PulseChain pumps 20%, you're going to have a relative pump in up token if that is going to in turn lead to buy and burn.
Yeah. And what would you say are the risks or criticisms for this for token? What has came up so far, and how could you address them?
Yeah, well, yeah, really good question. So a lot of hexagons are used to staking tokens, whereas this is not going to have a staking component to it. So it's simply like PulseX, where you can, just by hodling the token, its supply is set to decrease, and in turn, you have a larger pool of the supply. So it's referred to as a rich token. A wealth token, for example, would be one that could be, staked and be yield producing. This is a rich token. So first thing first, don't expect to generate yield on this token. It's just simply a token you can hodl, and perhaps it becomes a lot more scarce and deflationary over time, potentially being, exponentially deflationary if the supply is, limited. And the price performance and the yield generated with the USDL strategy is significant to acquire as much as possible. Second thing I would say is the team behind it, the people behind it, aren't doxxed. That could be a red flag for some. Not for me. In our last interview, I talked about how one of my regrets, was not getting in on Hex day one, and the reason why I didn't get in, even though I was, there watching the video, was Hex went over my head. Didn't really understand what a CD was, but in retrospect, I should have at least placed a bet on the people behind it. So since then, that's been a lesson I've taken away, to be a good judge of character. And then even if the concept may be still really foreign, trust your gut and make a bet on the people behind it. And I'm really confident with the team behind UpToken. Again, no expectations, but so far I've been a good judge of character, and I feel really comfortable participating in the sacrifice, knowing who's behind it. But yeah, the team is not doxxed. There's also go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what's going to create buying pressure for the token, you think? Anything specific, or just generally they see price go up?
Yeah, I think, look, I also came on here to say I'm willing to take on anyone to bet that UpToken will be the first one to do a 10,000x. So a bold claim, but if anybody wants to take that bet on with me, you can get in touch with me. stakewealth.com. I have email, Telegram, everything.
So willing to take a bet that UpToken will be the first 10,000x in the PulseChain ecosystem out of chips?
First one to do 10,000x before Hex. First one to do a 10,000x before PulseChain, PulseX.
Hex did 10,000x already, right? So depending on how you
the
measure
next
it.
One. The next one. Yeah, from starting from the launch of UpToken, I'll bet somebody that'll be the first one. Well, it's, again, if someone takes the time to do their due diligence, and it clicks for them, they could, this can really enlighten them and let them really see the potential of this.
I've been looking at, I looked at the SAC. Let's see, I'll bring it up. There's no audio on that one. Hexpulse.com, and then it's UpToken. I was looking at some of the SACs, and so it just seemed like a lot of the SACs. Let me add it here, and we'll get to while I'm doing that, Abra's got a question. Strategy avoid 90% is a bold claim. What happens if it's used on the way down liquidate? Yeah, you want to speak to that one?
Yeah, so half of the funds are deployed to the stability pool. So stablecoin is always going to be collecting yield from liquidated PulseChain vaults, as well as an incentive token. And in case of dips, there is a tiered way to fill up the collateral ratio to bring it back to a safe ratio as the price of PulseChain comes down. And that'll scale with the dip. And it's possible to still be solvent even if PulseChain is down 99.9%, which is again rare. It assumes that something goes terribly wrong, and it also assumes that there's PulseChain is going to be illiquid, which is unlikely.
Yeah. Just looking at the sacrifices, I mean, I guess the question I would have, you see that the top one's like 7,000, so 3,000, things like that. Maybe they're coming from the same people, different addresses, maybe like that. But if people have so much confidence in this token, wouldn't you expect to see much bigger sacrifices in it?
The reason why a lot of the sacrifices are $3,000 is because there's two parts to the sacrifice. And again, people can learn about this more on uptoken.pro. There's a white paper describing the mechanisms of the sacrifice. But there was an early bird pool that's since closed. And it capped each wallet's sacrifice at 3,000 USD in stablecoin. So that's that's the reason why you're seeing a lot of $3,000 from each wallet, because that was a way to lock in the best rate in the first pool. Now we're in the second pool. It's open for it's open for another like 30 something days, and now up to 150,000 you get the best rate. But in case the second pool exceeds 150,000 funds, then there's a bonding curve to reduce the sacrifice points for the money raised. So we might start to see sacks that are, the sacks, I've seen some that are a couple $100. We're seeing a lot of 3,000s because that's what was kind of incentivized.
Was that for the first round of the sack phase?
Yeah, the pool A. Yeah. So the early birds, the people that were in the group chat earlier on, they're rewarded with this early bird pool, which was filled up within the first day, and it gave everyone the best rate. Again, that rate of $1 for 40 points is still available. For all we know, pool B might not even reach the $150,000 limit, and everyone gets the same rate that the early bird participants got. But in case it exceeds 150,000 over the next 30 something days, then the rate worsens. In any case, actually for UpToken, there's no, the UpToken doesn't really care what is the raised amount. It'll do just as well as if the sacrifice were to end today, as if it raised millions of dollars. So the only thing that would change is the greater the raised funds will be in the second pool, the more significant the buy and burn will be. This is also described in the FAQ section of my website. There's a really neat pie chart that describes, what would happen if the sacrifice would end today and how the funds would be utilized versus, what it would look like if the funds, exceeded the second pool.
So this is a good comment too about WATSA. Is there a comparison between WATSA NFTs you meant goes to the Hedron deployer address, the SA can use to do things with it, burn tokens? Is there some parallels with WATSA?
There isn't, but it's like that on purpose. So UpToken is meant to be understood by the common person. UpToken is not meant to be, studied and spent a lot of time studying. It's really simple. The token itself is not going to have functions beyond just transferring it, buying and selling it, and that's it. So there's no NFTs involved. There's no staking. Like a WATSA is a locked stake. It's a transferable NFT as well. In essence, it earns yield. None of that's in UpToken. It's simply a simple token, which over time should become deflationary as the liquid loans yield enables it to be bought and burned by the OA. Yeah. So it's a token also meant for people that can't do their own liquid loan strategy, because there are minimums to the amount of capital you need to utilize to do the liquid loan strategy. For example, for the Haunted strategy requires a minimum of $20,000 worth of PulseChain if you want to do it yourself. And in the video that I yeah, well, yeah, like I mean, yeah, not especially the recent participants. They're not coming off of massive hex gains to be throwing around that kind of money. So if they want to participate again, the same way that Maxi, especially now that they've created these 5 and 10 year and what like a rolling 1 year token, a rolling 5, a rolling 10 year pool. The same way they're enabling this little guy to avoid high gas fees while still participating in in a yield producing pool. That's happening here with this. So a better parallel would, I think, Maxi be, in my opinion.
I see. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, part of the funds are going to be allocated to liquidity. So there will be ample liquidity for the token, meaning that when it does, when the price of it goes exponential, there will always be an opportunity for people to cash out. So this isn't like a token that when it's valued to be $1 million, you won't be able to realize those gains. If you read the white paper on the sacrifice, not only will sufficient tokens will be utilized to provide liquidity, but the liquidity will also scale with the performance of the up token, because there's 3 vaults that are going to be locking in a pulse chain, and a segment, like a portion of each vault, goes towards different things like the buy and burn, as well as providing liquidity. So rest assured that this won't be like a scam coin where even though the price of it goes exponentially, you can't cash out. The liquidity will scale with the price performance.
That's what I was going to ask too. Like, just on that note of criticism, like what would you say? Someone's like, oh, it sounds like price, going to go up exponentially, pump and dump. Everyone coin dies. Right. Like, why isn't it that?
Well, I think there's no expectations. It's a community driven token. There isn't a team allocation. And that was something that really caught my eye. Participating in a couple of the past pools, such as Liquid Loans, PulsePot, there was massive supply given to referral programs, given to teams. There's none of that in UpToken. If you look at the distribution chart, I tweeted about this. It's the most distributed, supply chart so far. Obviously, it might change, through the sacrifice, but so far it's the most evenly distributed pool. So there's no pre-mine, there's no team allocation. It's for the people, by the people, and yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, chat. Let me know if you have any other questions for UpToken. But website has a lot of stuff on it.
I'll mention a few more things. In essence, it's going to be good for PulseChain. It's going to pump your PulseChain bags. It's good for Liquid Loans. It's going to pump the loan token because it's paying fees to create vaults. And the up token can't be liquidated. So if PulseChain does well, up token will do really well. Again, I have no expectations, but it's something I'm pumped about. I like that it empowers the little guy. I like that it's giving the latecomers exposure to PulseChain. And one other thing that's really interesting, I actually added this to the website today, is the fact that this token is one of the most affordable to get a high league, like a high position in the league. So, for example, assuming the SAC rate remains at $1 for 40 points, like it's been so far, it will only cost $500. Around $500 to be a dolphin, and about $5,000 to be a shark. I think that could incentivize some people, because you're looking at these tokens where now getting these positions is really, really difficult and really expensive. It's not impossible, but it's expensive. Whereas an up token, the sacrifice is really fair. Supply is going to be well distributed, and you can get a very good position in it, getting in early. So. There's also no incentive for me to shill it. There's no referral program like other SACs have. There's no ongoing SAC like Power City. It's it's not really going to make much of a difference how much is sacked. So we're really the token itself is not really after maximizing the sack pool as much as it's just going to do what it's what it's planning on doing, and you can either get on board and ride alongside this benevolent OA potentially, or do it yourself. Just by holding PulseChain, the ROI won't be as lucrative. So it wouldn't hurt to maybe have a hedge and have a piece of up token if it's meant to be tied to the price of PulseChain and even made more scarce and deflationary with its buy and burn. People shouldn't discount PulseChain in that PulseX is a buy and burn, but the issue with PulseX is it's a lot of supply and in the beginning relatively low volume to really make a difference in that buy and burn. Whereas you have the opposite in up token. You have very limited supply and a lot of buy and burn. Especially if you look at that pie chart, a lot of the a lot of the portion of the pool is meant specifically for the buy and burn. So, again, could be more attractive than in PulseX, and that's why I'm so comfortable taking anyone's bet on the fact that I think up token will be the first to do a 10,000x since launch.
10,000x.